only thing the boxing people don't know more. The only thing they know is how much the guy runs and trains. But when they come in 2 minutes in the ring, anything can happen. I don't care what, anything can happen.
See, or he's overrated. And I'm not saying he's that. I'm just saying that it didn't matter enough to go and do what he had to do.
Was actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo was making too is he was throwing like one shot and then he was coming back squared.
After Canelo Alvarez's devastating loss to Terence Crawford, Mike Tyson boldly declared him overrated. Tyson said Canelo appeared ordinary once he stepped in the ring with Crawford, who dictated the fight with superior skill and precision. He argued the bout revealed Canelo was never as dominant as his reputation suggested. While praising Crawford's performance as proof of his place among boxing's all-time greats, Tyson stressed that the loss exposed Canelo's flaws and showed that the hype surrounding him had always been exaggerated.
Prime, you gonna catch him? My man's telling you, but when those guys started beating Chavez was already an old man, though. I gotta get from then, though. You gotta get him there. You know, he had close on. It was, man, he got him beaten in like 90-0 before he got beat. Oh. You gotta look at those scenarios, too, man.
Renowned trainer Teddy Atlas has never shied away from criticizing boxing's biggest names, and Canelo Alvarez is no exception. Atlas contends that Canelo's reputation has been inflated by promoters, fans, and media who crowned him the sports king without truly examining the depth of his career. While acknowledging Alvarez's major victories, Atlas argues many of his opponents were carefully selected, making his resume look more impressive than it really is. In his view, the image of Canelo as an unstoppable force is more myth than reality, the product of savvy marketing rather than unmatched skill. At the core of his critique is the belief that Alvarez has gained far more from timing and perception than from sustained dominance inside the ring.
Quite as up in arms. We actually sometimes said he fought a smart fight. But when he didn't fight the kind of fight to make it an entertaining fight against our guy, against the popular Canelo, again, the king, so to speak, then we completely attacked the guy. So I think that that's got to be looked at a little bit, to be fair.
Mike Tyson had predicted before the fight that Terence Crawford would outbox Canelo Alvarez. He voiced complete confidence in Crawford's abilities, saying Bud could defeat anyone. Tyson's stance underscored that he never considered Canelo unbeatable, instead pointing to Crawford's adaptability and dominance as the key factors that would secure his victory.
Fight. Want to say, I think it's 50-50.
You don't think it's 50-50? You think Crawford can stop him?
Crawford can stop anybody. I'm not saying he can't, he's going to, but he can't.
Beyond Teddy Atlas, many analysts have echoed similar criticisms of Canelo Alvarez. Some point to the cloud of performance-enhancing drug allegations that briefly tainted his career, noting how he emerged with little lasting damage to his reputation. More significantly, critics focus on his decisions after the one-sided loss to Floyd Mayweather. From that point on, Alvarez became increasingly selective with his opponents, often targeting fighters past their prime or those whose styles favored him. This approach helped him collect titles and sustain his superstar status, but left open the question of whether he truly tested himself against elite fighters in their prime. By carefully managing his career, Canelo safeguarded his image. Yet, to skeptics, it reinforced the notion that he sidestepped the defining challenges of a genuinely great champion.
All right, this guy right here is overrated as fuck, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, early on in his career, when he was the young up-and-coming contender, undefeated at the time, we all remember that infamous match with Floyd Mayweather where he just got dog-walked. Floyd Mayweather completely outboxed him, completely outclassed him. That fight ended up being a split decision, which is crazy because if you've seen the fight with your own two eyes, I don't think Canelo landed one clean punch on Mayweather the entire fight, and it wasn't even close. Also, early on in his career, he was accused and caught cheating performance enhancers. And you know what they say, once a dirty fighter, always a dirty fighter. Even though that's not factually the case because he was able to move on with his career, bounce back from that loss, bounce back from the cheating accusations, and make like a great boxing legacy for himself. In the court of public opinion, normally with most fighters that are, caught cheating at any point in this career, it always sticks with them. But with Canelo, it seems like everybody forgets. Now, obviously, to this day, he's still looked at as one of the faces, if not the face of boxing. But I think the way people accuse Floyd, especially in the back half of his career, of picking and choosing his fights, protecting his own, protecting his legacy, Canelo definitely has followed the Floyd Mayweather model. Not only in his game, he became a more defensive fighter after fighting Mayweather, and especially as of late, he's not taking as much punishment, but it's also because he's not fighting very dangerous fighters. And when he does, he gets exposed. One of his also top, more formidable opponents was Triple G, that trilogy. The first fight was a draw. The second two fights, Canelo won by unanimous decision and an ununanimous decision for the third. But I don't think the results, reflected the fights.
When Canelo Alvarez finally faced Terence Crawford, the flaws long highlighted by critics were put on full display. Crawford, a versatile southpaw, seized control from the opening bell, smothering Canelo's offense and denying him both range and rhythm. Alvarez, typically effective with steady pressure and counterpunching, appeared one-dimensional against Crawford's seamless movement. Analysts observed that Canelo relied on single shots instead of combinations and underused his jab, allowing Crawford to dictate the tempo with ease. The gap in skill was unmistakable. Crawford neutralized every tactic Canelo attempted, leaving him hesitant and reactive. For many observers, the bout offered the most definitive proof yet that Canelo's aura of invincibility had been overstated.
I think there was a lot that we could learn from both of them. I think there's something that Terence Crawford did very well. He did not allow Canelo to get inside, man. Like as soon as Canelo would get into that certain range, he would jab him. He would jab him, and then occasionally he would go low. Canelo Alvarez could not pop his he couldn't get inside because pretty much Bud, he's a southpaw. And I feel like Terence Crawford, I feel like Canelo Alvarez had problems with southpaws, but not just that, dude. It was the range of what Terence Crawford had, dude. And not just that, man. Terence Crawford was actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo was making too is he was throwing like one shot and then he was coming back squared, and that's when Terence Crawford would actually catch him. We didn't see any like lateral moves where he would throw and maybe push off to the side, as we used to see Canelo Alvarez as what he would do in these fights. Allegiant Stadium, there was a lot of people there. Terence Crawford had the ability to fight backwards and stay composed. Good defense. Hands was always up, countering everything that Canelo was throwing at him. He was just a little more active fight. I mean, looking at the fight, bro, like it was competitive. Canelo did hit him to the body, but it was pretty much all Terence Crawford, man. I don't know how many rounds I actually gave Canelo, but I want to see a rematch. I want to see a rematch because Canelo did mention, oh, I didn't feel good. Like my body was just, it wasn't reacting. My mind wanted to, but there was something physically with my body that it just felt different. So, but overall, I mean, boxing tends to put these big events, these fights don't show out like the UFC.
Canelo Alvarez's loss to Terence Crawford sent shockwaves through the boxing world and cast doubt on his future at the top. His subdued demeanor in post-fight interviews fueled speculation that he might even be contemplating retirement. Crawford's methodical dismantling of Alvarez made it seem as though Canelo's reign at the pinnacle of the sport had reached its end. The victory was quickly hailed as historic, not only for Crawford's dominance but also for its symbolic passing of the torch. Once the face of boxing, Alvarez saw his aura of invincibility fade, while Crawford's performance solidified his standing as the new standard-bearer and one of the greatest fighters of his era. Almost overnight, the narrative shifted. Canelo was no longer king, and questions about the twilight of his career became impossible to ignore.
Crawford was going to create history. I told you guys this before he fought Sean Porter. I said that Terence Bud Crawford can beat first ballot Hall of Famer and superstar and legend Canelo Alvarez. I've been saying this for years, that Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And tonight, he did just that. He did just that. Not only did he beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, but he arguably retired Canelo Alvarez, who after the fight, Canelo Alvarez stated that he's done everything that he needed to do in the sport of boxing. When asked do he want a rematch with Terence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez said, "It's no need." He gave no indications of a rematch. And Canelo Alvarez stated that he's a Hall of Famer, he's a winner, just being there made him a winner, right? And he stated that he's done everything he needed to do in the sport of boxing. That's what he said. Canelo Alvarez got schooled once again. I told you guys, styles make fights. This style, this particular style of boxers and counterpunchers and movers has historically given Canelo Alvarez problems. And as I told you guys, right? Terence Crawford can fight any which way he chooses to fight. He's just that much more versatile.
Terence Crawford's triumph over Canelo Alvarez was far more than just another victory. It was a landmark moment in modern boxing. By dethroning the Mexican star, Crawford seized all of Canelo's super middleweight titles, cementing his status as the undisputed champion in yet another weight class. The feat placed him among a rare group of fighters who have dominated multiple divisions with such authority. Yet the financial side of the bout also sparked debate. While Canelo walked away with an astonishing $150 million purse, Crawford, despite his emphatic win, earned considerably less. Commentators like Simon Jordan highlighted the irony, noting how the sport continued to reward Canelo more richly even in defeat.
Crawford making history when he came up against Canelo Alvarez and he won it on points in Las Vegas, and that means he takes all of his super middleweight belts, becoming the first fighter in the modern era to become undisputed champion in 3 weight classes. The man to my left was in Spain. Mr. Jordan got out his bed at 5 a.m. and watched it, and he no doubt saw Crawford speaking post-fight.
The great things come to those who wait. You know, the cream always rise to the top. All the time that they blocked me out, they said I wasn't fighting nobody. I can't beat this dude. I can't beat that dude. Every time that I got a chance, I wiped the floor with him. So just imagine where I would have been at today if I had got them opportunities a long time ago. But then again, it wasn't my time. My time is now, and I'm happy that everything played out the way it did. And you're looking at the undisputed champion of the world right now.
That is for sure. Is he the modern day GOAT now, Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you can make the argument for Usyk too. I'm surprised he speaks like that because it's not normally the way he speaks. And the fact that he's got 3 undisputeds means that he must have been given certain opportunities. So I'm surprised he felt the need to say that, but perhaps there was reasons behind it. I mean, Alvarez thought they were going to get him cold because he hadn't fought for 13, 14 months, had some surgery and stuff like that. And the other side of the argument is they've got an Alvarez that's been fighting lesser than opposition. That is not what he once was before. He was there to be beaten by someone of the standard of Terence Crawford, which they're very few and far between.
Respected trainer Abel Sanchez admitted he was stunned by Terence Crawford's performance. He had expected Canelo's experience and power to be decisive factors, but instead watched Crawford dismantle him from the opening bell. Sanchez noted that Bud never allowed Canelo to find his rhythm, shutting down his offense with superior timing and footwork. For Sanchez, the result was eye-opening, not just because Crawford won, but because he did so with such dominance. He even suggested that Crawford, having secured this career-defining victory, could consider retiring at the very top. That remark underscored the scale of the achievement, as beating Canelo was viewed as the ultimate statement of greatness.
Had a great game plan. Bomac put something together that few people expected, including myself. The scores were just the opposite of what I thought they were going to be, but Terence looked great.
What do you think was the turning point of the fight, or did you just think from the inception there was no way? Was there a point where you saw, hey man, this just doesn't look good?
From the beginning.
From the beginning,
and then Terence never let Canelo get into a rhythm. Terence never allowed Canelo to get anything going, and I didn't think he could do it for 12 rounds. I thought that the first 3 or 4 rounds were going to be difficult for Canelo for that reason. but Terence was able to do it for 12 rounds. And in the later part of the fight, he kind of pushed the fight more than I think people expected, which is the mark of a superstar, man.
Abel, starting in the 8th round, we saw noticeable frustration and irritation from Canelo Alvarez. And at one point, 11th and 12th, he looked like he almost walked away, like he almost decided this is too much.
You remember the Hagler, I'm sorry,
Duran.
The Duran.
I was thinking that.
fight?
I was thinking that. I didn't want to disrespect Champ by asking him that post-fight, but those were the images that came to my mind. I was going to ask him if he understood more of Duran's plight that night.
Yeah, you can kind of. Duran had a reason supposedly because he had stomach problems or something like that. But
Right. He said he ate 2 steaks and drank a pot of coffee in New Orleans.
Sometimes frustration causes you to say things that maybe were not true. Terence just fought a great fight, man. Virtuoso fight, the kind of fight that we're not going to see for a while, and there's nobody out there that can give Terence that kind of test again. And when you have a great fighter that has put up another great fighter, and it happens like this, is you just have to bow your head and that's the king right now.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates next time.